Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking on this video. So in our previous video, I showed how to draft these patterns. Yes, this is a Victorian corset pattern, that is the overbust pattern. So today we'll be stitching them together. Okay, so we'll be stitching and they will complete the blouse. So make sure you follow to the end, and if you have not watched the previous video, please do so. I will drop the link in the description box below. Do check it out, then you would understand what we'll be doing here. Okay, and if you're not yet subscribed to this channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell, so whenever I upload a new video, you'll be among those that will be notified. And please give this video a like. Thank you for doing that. Remain blessed. So I will remove my patterns now and go ahead to write my number. Though even without writing it again, I can still go ahead to pin as far as I have arranged them the way they should be. This is 6. This is 5. So I'm just trying to mark it the way you see it. This is 4. Okay. And this is 3. And this is 2. So I use paper tape to hold my fabric down so it won't move while I was marking the allowance. So I have numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll do same to the other side. Okay, so for this other side, it's going to be like this. This is 6. Okay. So it's very nice to just label to make things easy for you. This is 5. Then this is 4. So that when you lift them up, everything will still, you'll be able to identify them. This is 3. This is 2. And this is 1. Okay, so now I will use this pattern, this very one now, to cut my lining and my interfacing. Okay, so let me do that, then we'll go ahead and stitch. So another easy way to label it is to use your paper tape. Okay, so this one is even better. It will not clean. You'll be the one to remove it by yourself. So I've used my paper tape 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to write it, and I did same at the other side as well, so that even when I lift it up and use it to cut my lining, everything will still be the way they are. Okay, so I'm just going to use it the way it is now to cut my lining and the interface. Okay, so I have also cut out my lining and labeled it, as you can see. So now I would also iron hairstay to my main fabric. So I will not iron to the lining because the lining is thick enough. So I'll iron hairstay to my main fabric. Okay, more I want you to understand about this labeling. This is 1, right? And under it I've labeled it 1 as well. So when by the time you turn it like this, you have 1. You turn it like this, you have 2. Now I decided to add LLL, that is left, showing that by the time I turn it this way, this one is going left hand side. So if this is 1L, then 2L should be this way. Okay, so let me place it in the way you understand. The one up is just simply the numbers. That is, let me turn it back the way it was. The one up is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, while the under one is L1, that is the left hand side 1. So this is what I mean. Let me arrange it. Okay, so if this is one, it's like this. Okay, so this is how I arrange it. One here. So remember the way I cut my pattern is going this way. So if this is one, it will be the one on the left. Okay, so this is how it should be. Okay, so when you bring two, you place two. So the other two is the one on the left, is going this way. So when you bring three, three is like this, the other three is the one on the left. So you can see how it's going now. They're going to join everything like this, join everything like this, then they'll all meet at the center front, because you know we cut the center front open because of the dart effect we made there. So that is why the center front is supposed to be one piece, but because of the dart it is now two piece. So that is how you label it. So if this is four, the next four is 4L going to the left hand side. So that is how I labeled it, even on the main fabric, so it will be easy. So because labeling matters when you have to work with pieces of fabric like this, you need to label it accordingly, so I don't end up stitching the wrong parts. Okay, so that is just it, to make it easy for us. So let me just put everything aside. So just the way I have shown you, that is how you go ahead to stitch it. Okay, so by the time I stitch it, you will see it, and it will be clearer to you. Okay, so now I will just put this aside, and I would cut my interface or iron my interface to my main fabric. So with the labeling, I'm not afraid, because everything is in place. I can just place it anyhow I like. When I'm arranging it, I'll just follow the numbers the way I have arranged it. So I hope this is clear to you now. So always, have a systematic way of labeling your pieces. Okay, so now I want to iron my interface to this, so I'm using air stay. Okay, so I have arranged it back the way it was. So I'm going to remove my labeling now. I'm just actually breaking it down in the simplest way, though with your own initiative you can know how to go about this, but I'm just like breaking it down the simplest way. So since I have arranged them like this, I know you know that the side facing up is the wrong side where would iron our interface to. Okay, so now in order not to waste my interface, I'll bring them closely. So I'll just bring them a bit close like this. Then I would place my interface on it. The fusible side, that is the rough side, is where we stick to the fabric. So I'll place it on it like this. So I'll just place it in such a way that I would not waste my air stick. Okay, so make sure they are all lying flat and they're lying well. So now you just place your air stay on it like this. Please, the fusible side or rough side facing the wrong side of your fabric. So you just place it this way. So arrange it in such a way that your hairstay will not just waste. Okay, so make sure you are laying it nicely on it. Make sure you are laying it nicely, and this very hairstay is transparent sort of, so you can see the fabric. So now I would iron. Go ahead and iron it. So now I'll go ahead and cut out the rest part of my hairstay. Okay, so by the time I turn it now, I cannot press it from this other side. Okay, but before you do this, just trim out the excess hairstay, because this side is the gummy side. If you use your pressing iron on it, it will stain your iron. So you can see what we have here. So I'll go ahead and press it very well. So now I'll do same for the others, okay? So I'll place this aside as number one. So I'm done ironing my estate to it, and I have labeled it like I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I'll take this away now and do same to the other one. So I'm done ironing my estate to it, okay, and this is what I have. So now it's time to arrange it accordingly. So this is number one on the left side, and this is number one on the right side. So this is how it's going to be. So I'll just arrange them accordingly, and that is how we'll stitch them, okay? We'll go ahead and stitch them that way. So this is number two left, and number three left. Here we have number three left. So you can see the way I arranged it is easy. So if you don't label them accordingly, you might end up stitching it wrongly. Maybe you just turn it, up like that. Most especially which one, like this number five. Okay, you can see the way number five is. If you don't label it well, you won't know which side is up and which side is down. Okay, so you need to label it well. So that is number three left, number four, and then on this side we have number four. So my table will not take everything, but I'm just showing you that this is how you go ahead to arrange them. Okay, have number five here, and we have number six. Okay, so this is how we arrange them. Now we'll stitch like this. So you can go ahead and pin them. You pin this one, you pin, you pin, you pin like that, and then number five and number six. Okay, so you just go ahead and pin. So I wanted to use wording to pad this bust area, but I changed my mind, so I would use already made bra core after inserting the boning, because we'll be boning it. So after inserting boning, I'm going to just use already made bra core to push up that area more. Okay, so you can just see what we have here. So this is simply how you go ahead and arrange, and you do that for the lining piece as well. Okay, and by the time you're done stitching it from the inside, by the time you turn it on the outside, it will just sit nicely. Everything will be okay like that. Okay, so let me take it over now to the sewing machine. So by the time you have gotten to this stage, you're almost done. Yes, everything is now arranged for you. It's just for you to go ahead and stitch. So you can just pin it together so that you don't have to start looking at the numbers again. You just know that the way they are pinned together, that is how you go ahead and stitch them. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Now let's move over to the sewing machine. So now we'll start joining. Okay, and I've also cut out the yoke. So when cutting the yoke, make sure you also add half-inch allowance for joining the yoke to the bodice. Okay, so I also do same for the back. So I'll place this aside, and we start joining our pieces. So when you're joining, note where you be joining by half-inch and where you be joining by 1.5. So if this will confuse you, you can as well join the back separate and join the front separately, then later join the two of them. So this is what I mean. In the front we have three pieces, so you can decide to just join the three pieces for the right side and for the left side. Okay, so have um 1, 2, 3 for the front, then the back continue from 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you can join them separately, the back and the front, then later you join the back and the front together. Okay, so I use this to indicate that this very part will be joined by 1.5, because that's the allowance I added at this part. So 4 and 3, or 3 and 4, will be joined by 1.5, while the rest will be joined by half-inch. Okay, so let's do just that. So I'm done joining them, okay, as you can see. So this is the side seam that separated the back from the front. So from here now to this part, we have the front, okay. So and this is the back. So this is it, and this is center front, okay. So the next thing to do now is give it a good press. I'll just open it up like this and press it. So I've ironed my seams open, as you can see. So for the bust area, make sure to use your ironing ball, okay. You place your ironing ball under it and iron it. So I've also done same for the lining piece, okay. I've stitched together, iron open my seam. So the next thing now is for us to go ahead to bone it. So we have the plastic boning and the sewable boning, which is the Regilene boning. Okay, so whichever one you want to use, you're free to use. So for the plastic boning, you have to create a boning channel for it, okay. So you have to create a channel like this, and then you pass your boning through it. But I'll be using the Regilene boning. So for Regilene boning, you can also create a boning channel, or you go ahead to stitch it from inside. Okay, so you can actually stitch your boning from inside like so. You place it out on your open seam and you stitch the both sides. But if you want to have like a design in front, you want to use your boning channels to also make designs, you can do that in front by making your boning channels as well. So for me, I want something like this, though the fabric is well designed, but the client still wants, you know, she still want that look of boning channel on it. So I have cut out my satin strips for this, okay. So the boning I'll be using is the Regilene boning, and it measures half inch. Okay, it measures half inch, as you can see. So I cut my strips to be 1.5. Okay, so I have like 1.5 here, okay. So you can have more than that. So I actually measured 1.5, but it's like 1.75, so it's still okay. You can get from 1.5 to 2 inches. All you need is something that can just wrap the boning very well, okay. So let's move over to the sewing machine so that I'll show you how I would use this to bone the corset. So let's do that. So now to create our boning, like I said, you can either you create the boning channel and insert your boning into it, or you follow the technique I'll be showing you. Now I want to encase my boning on this side, okay. So I just want to start from one side and move to the other side. So what I'll do now is just to place my satin from the beginning of the corset like this, then to the end, okay, just to measure how long it is, just to know the length of satin I would need. So that is why I'm doing this. So by the time I have measured it, I'll just cut it out, okay. Just cut out the length that I need, so you can have a little extra to always trim out, okay. Or you just cut it at the end. If you either you leave it this way, or you mark where you the actual measurement, where you have the actual measurement, because you'll be stopping at least 1 inch before this actual measurement. That is when we are stitching our boning to it. We'll stop at least 1 inch before this, and at the top part as well, we will start 1 inch from the edge of the satin. We'll start 1 inch because we'll be adding yoke to our corset, and we'll be turning with lining. So we don't want the boning to, be at that point. We don't want anything to disturb when you are turning either with your satin or when you're adding your yoke. So the boning should be 1 inch apart from wherever you're going to turn with satin, either at the top or at the lower part, okay. So just watch what I'll be doing. So this is the length of satin that I need. Just want to trim out this side a little bit. So right now I'll go ahead and place my Regilene boning on it, leaving at least 1 inch space. Okay, so I'm sewing on the right side, that is the good side of the satin. So this is how I'll do it. So just place it at one edge like this, and you go ahead to stitch. So make sure your boning is far apart from the beginning point. Okay, 1 inch, 1.5 is okay. So just want to get it out of the way. So now let's stitch. So don't forget, we need to stop 1 inch before the edge of the satin. So this is actually where I marked. Okay, so in order not to be confused, you can just cut out exactly what you need. Okay, so this is 1 inch before this point, so I'll be stopping here. So by the time I'm done, I'll just cut out the rest of the boning at this point now. And this is what we have. Okay, so by the time you have done it this way, remember I stitched on the right side, on the good side of the satin. Now we'll flip it over like this. Okay, so you just like want to use it to wrap the bone. So you flip it over and you bring it this way. So by the time you flip it this way, you see that you have excess. What you do now, just fold the excess that you have. Okay, fold it in like this. Just fold it in. Okay, and this is what you have. So this method will help your casing just look, smart. It won't be too bigger than the boning. So you can see how neat it's looking. So now take it to my corset and stitch it on the corset. So this is how you go about stitching it. Just take it gradually. Okay, as you stitch you fold, as you stitch you fold. So we want to start with this one. So you just fold, and you can iron it down if you like. Okay, so you can just iron it so that everything will lie flat. So let's start here. So remember, you are starting from the top where you don't have the boning. You just place it this way. You can also work with your pin to make sure everything is sitting well. Okay, you can pin it down. So I'll start stitching from this side where we have the folded boning edge. Okay, so I'll start from this side, and you stitch close to the edge of the satin so that you have a neat work. So as you stitch, you just fold, and you are in control of it. So you can see I'm done stitching this side. Okay, the next thing you do now is to turn to the other side and you stitch as well. Okay, so you can actually cross over it like this, and you turn it and you continue stitching. Okay, so you can see once you are done stitching this first side, this other one is very easy. Just stitch straight, and you can see how beautiful it's looking. So now let's take it one more time. I have stitched the boning, okay, to my satin. Don't forget, you're stitching on the good side of your satin. So you just flip it over like this and wrap the boning with it. Okay. Okay, so you can see the way I folded it. So now we'll take it again, and after this one I'll just go ahead and finish it up. So just place it. So just take it one step at a time. It's not something you rush. One step at a time. So like I said, you can also work with your pin. By the time you have folded to an extent, you just hold that part with your pin and you go ahead and stitch it down. So as you're stitching, please be looking at your channel where you're stitching the bone, so I don't go off the channel. Okay. So this is it. You can see how nice looking it is. So I'll go ahead and finish it up and we'll move to the next step. Okay. So I'm done stitching the boning to it, okay, as you can see. So for the bust cup side, you do the same thing, just follow it the way it is, okay, and you see it forming the, as in the shape will come out. But this is not all. We are going to use our already made bra cups, but before we do that, we have to join the yoke. Okay, so this yoke will be having lining because the client doesn't want just the net. So I'm going to use it to do inseam finishing. Okay, since it will have lining, so the way I'll do it is that I will stitch the lace to the main fabric and lining to lining. Okay, so that's how I'm going to do it. So you're not going to stitch it together, but if it were to be just the lace without lining, then you're just going to stitch it. Then you use the lining part of the bodice to turn it in, so that at this side it will be neat. So I hope you understand. That is after stitching your yoke, after stitching your yoke to the bodice this way. So this rough edge that is left now, you will now stitch your lining. Okay, by the time you stitch your lining, you then turn in the lining and this side will be neat. But since uh, the yoke has lining already, we're going to do that separately. So you're going to match it up. So this is the midpoint of our bustier. Okay, so this is the midpoint of our corset for the front. So I'm going to match it up with the midpoint of the yoke like so, and I'll pin it. Okay, and I'll go ahead to stitch. So this is it. Remember I said the main fabric to the main fabric and lining to lining. So we'll have it for the front up to the armhole. Okay, so you do same for the back. And if you notice, I didn't add boning to the sides where we have our side seam. I didn't add boning there, just in case of any shaping or any amendment. Okay, you don't need boning here, so that you can actually use there. And this is it for the other side. Okay, so that is where we'll flip it over for the back. Okay, and this is our front. So we'll also turn back and um fix our yoke for the back as well. So the back yoke is coming like this. Okay, so remember I said main fabric to main fabric, so I'm just going to stitch pin it down as well. Then I'll go ahead and stitch by 1/2 inch. Okay, I've stitched the yoke to the bodice, as you can see. Okay, and this is the back part of it. This is the back side. okay, and we have our armhole here. So by the time I arrange it nicely, you will see it. So we have our armhole, okay. So at the inside as well, this is what we have. So we are trying to like achieve inseam finishing. So this is it, okay. So we stitched lining to lining and the main fabric to the main fabric, and this is what we have. So now before closing the shoulder, okay, which normally we will just join it this way and close up the shoulder. So before we do this, okay, right now I believe you know how to like close your shoulder. Before we do this, we first of all fix in the bra cup. So just flip it open and you fix in the bra cup. So these are already made bra cups, okay. So just try to place it correctly into the bust cup, okay. So you fix it. So by the time you fix it, you're just going to use your pin to hold it over there. So by the time you fix it, make sure you're getting to the edge where you fix your yoke, so that it won't have space over here. So you just take it this way, like this, okay, and you press it down. So now you can just pin it. You pin it here, and you will also turn to the other side. You turn to the other side as well, making sure that it is staying well, it is staying just in place, okay. So after pinning it from the inside here, you can turn it over to make sure there are no space, or no, to make sure there's no space, and you can also pull it up here. So I'll still have to release my pin and push it up. So I want to push it up a bit, so I will not have space at this the yoke part, this neckline part, okay. So I think I have what I want there now. So I'll just pin it. So by the time I have pinned it there, I'll now spread it. That is, just pull it like this so that it will relax well. So there's nothing hard about it. It's something that everybody can do. Just about, okay, being patient and being tactical about it. Just follow what you have and work with it, okay. So I'm just pinning it so everything would stay well. Then I'll go ahead and tack it down with my needle and thread. So by the time you have pinned your cup down and you're sure that everything is sitting nicely, the next thing is to tack it, okay. You're going to use your hand needle and thread, and you just tack it. So now you'll be tacking it to the seam. So I'm done tacking the bra cups down, as you can see, okay. So I made sure I tacked here, here, here and here, so that it will not, just flip and stay in the fabric like that. So just tack it in the four corners, okay, and you have it. So now the next thing is to finish up our dress by stitching the lower parts, okay. So normally this is how our we have it. So I actually wanted to do like a complete inseam finishing, whereby both the zipper area and everything will be sealed up, but I just decided to make it easy for you. So this actually will still be inseam, but we'll do it in such a way that if there will be any need for adjustments, you can do that through the zipper area, okay. Because by the time we just seal up everything, it will be beautiful, yes, but if you are making it for a client, you need to be careful and it's time taking, okay. So this is how it to be. So now let me just explain it let me explain it briefly. If we wanted to achieve complete inseam finishing, we would fix our zipper, that is only on the main fabric. Okay, by the time you fix your zipper only on the main fabric. So let me just illustrate this with zipper. So let me use my zipper to illustrate this. Okay, so you just fix your zipper on the main fabric. So let's turn it this other way. So normally if you want to fix your zipper, you should go this way. By then you would have closed up your top, you would have closed up the blouse with your lining, that you would have sewn your lining. But to make a complete inseam finishing, you would just sew your zipper only to the main dress. Okay, normally you place it this way, you stitch it leaving the lining out of it. You stitch this zipper and you will stitch the other zipper. Then you now flip your main fabric over like this, and that you now flip your lining fabric over like this, and you stitch on the zipper. Okay, you stitch. So that is after you have stitched the zipper, this is how it will be placed. Then you would place this one over like this and you stitch it. So I think I should hold it with pin. So when you do that, the best way to finish the lower part will be to pipe it to make it easy for you. Okay, you would have to pipe the lower part. But the method I want to use now, I want to stitch the lower part with the lining, then even stitch the zipper area with the lining, then turn from the armhole area, then we'll fix our zipper. Okay, so that one is actually okay. So if there's any need for tightening the dress or loosening it a bit, all you need to do is just do that from the zipper allowance you have. But if you do the inseam finishing, you have to do some losing to, like you have to remove the sleeve and all that. So I wouldn't want to go through all that after fixing the sleeve. So that is why I would rather use my lining to just close up everything, then fix my zipper. So like I was saying, if you want to do complete inseam finishing, this is how you would do it, whereby nothing would show at all. So normally you place your zipper like this to stitch. Okay, so I'll use pin to hold it to assume that we have stitched it. Okay, so normally you just stitch like this using your zipper allowance. Okay, so I'm just using pin. So you take the measurement you used for zipper allowance and you will stitch your zipper only on the main fabric. So let me just do this quickly. So let's assume we have finished stitching the zipper all the way down on the main fabric. Okay, now this is the lining. You then flip the lining over. You flip it over like this. So I taught this in my ball gown class. Okay, so that is how we finish our dress in the ball gown. So by the time you flip it over like this, okay, you would have trimmed this edge a little bit. You will trim it out a little bit so that to go this way. Now you stitch your lining to the remaining part of the zipper allowance. So I just hope this is clear. You stitch your lining to the remaining part of the zipper allowance like this. So when you use this method, after stitching the zipper, the lower part will still be open. You now join the lining and the main fabric together and pipe it. Okay, in that case you will not be turning in with the lining. So I hope this explanation is clear. So by the time you have stitched your lining, this is now what you will get in the inside. Okay, so let me turn it. So at the front this is how it will be, and in the inside this is how it will be. So you can see that no zipper allowance edge is showing. So you do the same thing to the other side, and your everything inside will be inseam, okay, it will be closed except for the armhole area where you fix your sleeve. And after fixing your sleeve, you use your bias tape to finish up that side. So like I said, by the time you have fix your zipper this way, this side will still be open like this, okay. So how do you pipe it? You cut your fabric. So you cut your fabric in bias form, that is like the way bias is, and you would pipe it. So you can either use the main fabric or you use the satin fabric. So whichever one you use, whichever one you want to use, to just make it look like a design on its own, okay. So you just pipe it. Let me use this satin for example. By the time you have stitched it, that is, you stitch it like this, okay. By the time you stitch like this, you now flip it over and you top stitch, okay. So one thing about the piping is that you would have to top stitch, and the edge of the lower part will be like this, that the edge of your top will just have the piping. So it's actually beautiful if you do it well. For example, this after using this this satin to do my boning channel, and now pipe it with the same satin, it will definitely look beautiful, but I don't want to do that, okay. So to make things easy for me, I would just go ahead and close up everything using my lining, just the way we normally sew our tops when we are sewing our blouses with lining. So that is what I will do. So I'm just taking off this piece. So I hope you understand this other technique, okay. So I might be teaching that in the advanced class, so I think we'll do that in the advanced class. That is this particular type of inseam finishing. So in that case, we would be making gown and all that. So but for now, let's just concentrate on our corsets, okay. And I believe since you are no longer beginners, you can be creative on your own. Yes, you can be creative. You can do some of these things just using your own idea and initiative, okay. So like I said, now we're going to close it. So what I'll do now is just to flip it over like this. So I'm going to allow the good side to be with the good side, and I'll go ahead and close it up by stitching it down, okay. So match up all your seam. The side seams should be matching up like this. All your seams should be matching up, as you can see, okay. So everything is matching up. So I'll go ahead now and stitch, okay. So I'll go ahead and stitch the lower part and the zipper area as well. So by the time I do that, I'll open it up from the armhole. So when I open it up from the armhole, I'll close my armhole as well, okay. So to close your armhole, you know how we do that when we are sewing blouse, okay. It's just to place it together like this, okay. So by the time you would have turned to the good side, okay. So I think I should show you that as well. Then I'll go ahead to the sewing machine and finish it up. So to close your armhole, so by the time you have finished making your blouse, you can check your armhole, please. That is, you can check your armhole, and if it needs further shaping, you can shape it well, okay. So everything is a matter of just looking at it and knowing if it is just okay that way. Now to close your shoulder, sorry, not the armhole, the shoulder, you need to place it this way. You take the lining for the back and you flip it over to the front, and you stitch, okay. You just stitch this side. So by the time you're done stitching this side, your shoulder will be closed. And after doing that, you just check your armhole, check what you have there like this. So this is the armhole. Okay, so after closing your shoulder, you need to measure your armhole to know if it will be okay for your client. Normally your armhole should measure like the same measurement with your shoulder. Okay, that is the armhole after closing your shoulder here. So you measure. So what I have here is okay. It would take the arm of the client, the sleeve. Okay, so now let me go ahead and just finish it up, okay, and everything will be clearer to you. So I have stitched the lining to the dress, okay, as you can see. So I stitched the lower part and the zipper area. So we're going to turn it now from the armhole, okay. So just bring everything out from the armhole. I've also stitched the shoulder like I explained to you. So I believe you all know how to do this, okay. So the drafting area was the major part, but I know that being in a advanced class, or I know you're not beginners, you should be able to join your lining to your main dress. So by the time we turn it out, we're going to iron it very well. So we'll give it a very good press, okay. So you can see what we have here. Let's see. So we are going to iron it, and the shoulder too, I have stitched it together. That is the back and the front. So the next thing now is to iron it very well. I'm going to give it a very good press. So you can start ironing from the inside, making sure that everything lies well. So after stitching the lining to the main fabric, please notch, because we have curved areas here. So you just notch it slightly and you give it a very good press, okay. So you can iron from inside, then you turn to the other side and you iron. What we need to do now is to fix our zipper, okay. So you can see how the inside is. So this is just clean. So what we actually need is to just achieve a clean finishing. So when you fix the sleeve here, we'll now finish it up with bias tape, okay. So by the time you're done like this, you need to check your armhole as well and be sure that your armhole is wide enough. So if you have measured correctly, definitely it will be okay. But if there are some need, if there is a need to trim out certain things, you need to do that, okay. So just lay your dress like this and you check your armhole, okay. So we'll just smoothen it a bit. So we're going to fix our sleeve here. So for our zipper, just the normal way we fix our zipper, we'll go ahead to fix it. So this method is good because if there is any need for adjustment, you can do that through the zipper side. If it's a bit loose, you want to make it tight, all you need to do is to come and reduce the zipper allowance. And if it's tight, you want to, okay, that is if it's tight, you want to reduce it or release it a bit, you just remove your zipper and reduce the zipper allowance. Then if it is loose and you want to tighten it, you do the same thing, you remove your zipper and you take in more. So it's just as simple as that. So it's better than losing the whole dress. All you need to do is just to work on the zipper area. So our zipper allowance is 1 inch because we took 1.5. So after stitching in the lining by half inch, 1 inch will be left. Okay, so I will just use that 1 inch. So I'm done sewing the sleeve. Okay, and I then finished the rough edge with bias. Okay, so I used bias tape to finish the rough edge. So now I would just turn in my dress. Okay, no need of bringing that one out, or no need of bringing the sleeve out, because by the time you bring it out, everything is same in the wrong side. So all you need to do is just turn your dress to the right side. Okay,